Welcome back to the Unranked podcast. You have Elijah here as alongside Grant. We're going to dive into another episode. We're going to keep it local this episode, talk Michigan football, Michigan basketball, as well as our beloved Pistons and Cade Cunningham's as he's played first, I'd say probably 8-10 games of his career in the Pistons uniform. But, we're going to start out with let's start out with Michigan football.
Yeah.
Sitting at 9-1. A couple weeks out away from Ohio game. What's your temperature check? How do you kind of feel?
I don't know, man. I guess the only way to kind of like what I've kind of been thinking about is how Penn State kind of gave Ohio State a hard time. I feel like still, obviously still got Maryland, so I'm kind of hoping they don't, kind of overlook them. I believe that game is in Maryland as well. I like, obviously with the exception of not beating State, man, I like what I see this year. I think, McCarthy probably sitting down the rest of the season. I think it's going to be kind of like the Cade show from here on out. I feel like with McCarthy, they, it's kind of one of the things where like, all right, have him come in, see what's going on. And then he kind of got a little lackadaisical with the ball. I think that's where they kind of decided it might be time to just like shelf him for a little bit. I just like a couple of years back, like there's no way if they would have fumbled that ball and gave up that field goal, there's no way that they would have won that game. I just like the fact that they were able to come back out, respond. Defense is looking great. Those DNs, they're gonna be huge when we do end up playing Ohio. So they got to put pressure on that freshman quarterback to make things really uncomfortable for them, and make it to where them DVs ain't got to be guarding Olave and Garrett Wilson, more than 3 or 4 seconds. They're gonna get open. But I'm feeling good. I'm optimistic. I ain't gonna get no score predictions because previous years, get kind of ugly, when they do see Ohio. But I'm just hoping that they can at least, put up a fight and give themselves a shot. So what do you think?
Yeah, I would say the sting of the loss from Michigan State still kind of lingering. I think we see how beneficial that would have been in regardless if we blew it with fumbles and not taking care of a 16-point lead. There was a couple other things in there as well, so that just kind of still stings, and you're kind of still. But I'm hoping that can kind of potentially roll into them taking this Ohio game twice as serious. Like you said, not overlooking Maryland. But going to Maryland, taking care of business, and approaching that Ohio State game when it's in the big house, just with a sense of urgency and just how you can make things real interesting if you knock them off, and then you're sitting there at 11-1, and who knows what's going to happen to Michigan and Ohio State this weekend, but with big ramifications in that game. That can have, either way, we still need to go and take care of business versus them, and that would make things that much more interesting for the committee as far as what the playoff look like or what potential Big Ten championship game would look like. So, I'm thinking I really do feel pretty solid about it, even though I don't know why. But I would say that's just being a fan. But I do think we – maybe are going to approach this game with a sense of we got one stole from us and let's go steal one.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree. And I think I feel you. I'm excited too. I just, they played 5 times and Harbaugh's been there. Only one game was like really close, like within one score. And I just hope that he can kind of find it in him. They're coming in there on a, nice little streak. Rolling, pretty much been beating down everybody that's supposed to be, winning them close games. I just hope that, the moment just don't get too big to where, they come out and, what I'm saying, they're going to come after them. Ryan Day, he's already talked about how he wants to hang 100 on Harbaugh's head just because something they got into a couple years back in like a conference meeting or something. But I feel you though. It's at home, so it's definitely the opportunity is there and it's there for the taking. And I think for me, it's like, win or lose that game. I just win a bowl game. You know what I'm saying? I just kind of want them to be able to finish on a high note and just kind of even for Harbaugh's confidence. Let's be real. I know as much as we ask for his head, He's probably gonna be there for a minute. So I'm just kind of trying to go away from just like being on his head all the time to just start and try to, support him. You know what I'm saying? Because I do feel like, he has done a pretty good job coaching this year. And he just seems like it feels like this is the guy that was there like 2015, 2016. I'm starting to see more of him than
Yeah,
I feel like the last few years he's been more just kind of like down in the dumps, and that pressure's kind of been getting to him.
for sure. No, he definitely has more of a fire. I agree. And it's interesting to see the ups and downs of a coach. As far as how he came in so fiery and getting seemingly everything he wanted, and highly touted recruits, and putting together all that, and then to like you said, the dumps over the last couple of years,
Yeah,
finishing 2-4 last year, whatever that was. So I
yeah,
would say it's interesting to see that roller coaster. And then now let's just transition over to basketball and
yeah,
see, what what the basketball coach, his ups and downs as far as Juwan Howard. I think this is what his third year here. So
yeah,
third year, running the show. And first year was a COVID year. Last year, kind of got what I would say a very tough loss in the Elite Eight, and to the hottest team in the tournament in UCLA, and then now, being number 4 in the country, they lost a tough one last night. Just kind of seemed flat most of the night, and
yeah.
and so now we're getting top recruits. We have an interesting mix of good recruits and returning veterans, but you're gonna have to find a way to make it gel a little better, especially when you're coughing up games that you probably shouldn't be in early December
Right.
or early November. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah. No, I watched. Yeah, I watched that whole game, and Devontae Jones. He don't look all that comfortable quite yet. Um, Houston. I mean, he was like 0 for in the first half.
yep.
They were as a team. They were 0 for from the 3-point line. So I was even surprised they were even able to get like a 10-point lead because they just could not shoot the ball at all. Um, so no, I think definitely love what Howard's doing. It's early. Pretty sure that Seton Hall team, they beat a top 10 team like a couple of days prior as well. So I don't, hopefully for our sake, they end up being, it's like dancing in the top 25 for the whole season, or good majority of the season. So it doesn't look like a bad loss. Um, but I'm optimistic. I mean, I like I feel like they're deep. Yeah, like a lot of people. I think they're playing like 8 to 9 guys that'll probably kind of shrink. Um, more as the season goes on. But yeah, I mean, I think at this point it's just like try to keep momentum going. Win these out of conference games. Win every game you're supposed to. Obviously, you're gonna probably drop 5 or 6 games throughout the year just because that's what happens to a lot of good teams. I mean, it's college basketball. So my hope is that they're able to just kind of repeat what they're able to do. I mean, I feel like we're kind of in that upper echelon of like, some of them better basketball schools now to where it's like almost like Sweet 16 or bust, it feels like. You know what I mean? Like that's kind of like, I mean, even being ranked that high to start the season, I mean, might be slightly disappointing if they, if they don't at least make it like the Elite Eight, at least in my opinion. But I do like what the program is going. And I do think Howard's the guy, and if I'm not mistaken, I think he's got like a pretty nice extension as well.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the one thing in college sports overall. I mean, even going back to hardball, like just that longevity, you need that guy, the face of the program, in order to progress. Like when guys start getting ran in and out every 3 to 4 years, that's where the program starts to get a little rocky. So I think, I mean, if anything, I'm just glad that Michigan has done a good job of trying to keep both of them and just
Yeah,
really trying to create like create a solid football and basketball program. Not too many schools can say they got a basketball team and a football team in the top 10 either.
yeah,
So
for sure. I think, as I stated earlier, I think this team in particular is unique because Eli Brooks is a 5th-year guy. Devontae Jones is a 5th-year transfer.
yeah,
And then you got a Dickinson, a 2nd-year guy, and a 4th or 5th year in Isaiah
Brandon
John,
John.
Brandon Johns. I always want to call him Isaiah Johnson and Brandon Johns, and then 3 McDonald's All-Americans sprinkled in. So I would
Yeah.
say, I think it might be a bit of growing pains, uh,
Mhm.
but I ultimately think they're gonna catch steam and get the rolling. I think last night's a tough loss regardless because you probably should win that even playing kind of shitty.
Yeah,
So I that's kind of you would think we would have got that, but I don't want to say it is, but it is. But like you said, they're maybe a little more formidable than we think, and maybe we slept on them. So
yeah.
yeah,
And I think too, and I think I said it a while back. We had the Unranked or the Siege podcast guys on there. Sometimes you just need that like random loss on a Tuesday night, just to kind of like everybody looking at each other today at practice, like, all right, like we definitely should have won that game.
right.
Let's make sure we just destroy everybody else from here on out. Sometimes it's kind of necessary. I do feel like Seton Hall, they're a little bit better team than I'm giving them credit for.
Yeah, you got that big motherfucker. That's dude.
Yeah, him. And they got a couple transfers.
He probably finished with like $6 at least. He probably
Yeah, I mean, there was like back-to-back possessions where he was just defending the paint. I mean, he gave.
We probably should just threw it into Dickinson and just try to
get in foul trouble.
get him in foul trouble, or just make him a little more, make him a little more.
Or yeah, even brought like Diabite in there and just kind of like, because Diabite, he get the ball and he don't really be looking to even pass. Like, he just goes to the rack and tries to like, get a basket, draw contact. So I wish they would have. I'm sure Howard to get it figured out as time goes on, but I do wish they would have I'd like to see him playing a little bit more. But I get it, when the game tightens up like that, sometimes you want to put in your seniors and your upper class and let them kind of handle it. And I do feel really, really good about our odds, to do something big time come March, April.
Yeah,
I feel like we'll definitely be in the mix, 1 or 2 seed. It'll be good.
Yeah, no, I agree. And just kind of hop over to the Pistons. I think I don't think neither of us have probably that high of expectations for us this year. But I would say we both can agree with it. It's just great to have see a bit of encouragement and a bit of hope at the end of all this long tunnel of misery that we've been in. So I would say that it's kind of fun just to watch him play. I'm pretty sure he's balling out right now. I know we checked the stats right before the game, or right before we hopped on here live, and he seemed to be doing his thing again. And that's Cade Cunningham, that is. And I just like the team where they're headed in general. Jeremy Grant runoff, Sadiq Bey's taking another major step in year 2. And, I just generally like the squad, and I was kind of see what you want to say about them.
Yeah, we didn't really get to chat about that Houston-Detroit game last week. I mean, I just love how I just like Cade's demeanor, man. He's just so unbothered. I know there's a little bit of a little bit of talk around like the Pistons, maybe if Jalen Green would have been a better fit. I mean, me personally, I feel like Jalen Green's gonna be a great player, but he's just kind of what I'm kind of seeing from him right now is like, either he gonna score or he ain't gonna do nothing. And I at least like that Cade is like getting people involved. He's rebounding the basketball. He's floor general, bringing the ball up and down the court. I mean, they talked a lot about how he's always communicating with the coaches and just like he is kind of, has this demeanor about him where even, Jalen Green went and dunked on him, was yelling at him and everything. He was just like, all right, whatever. And then, kind of turned it on, as the game went on. I ended up almost finishing with 8 points is what Jalen Green had. Ended up getting the dub, which is most important. And went up to Toronto, hit a couple tough buckets in the last couple minutes of the game to help them take that one home. They got blown out last night, but he had a career high 25 with 8 points, 8 assists. I think it's career highs and all across the stat line, just with points, rebounds, and assists. First one to do that since like Jason Kidd, Trae Young, and I think Steph might do that too as a rookie. So definitely, it's definitely a nice bright spot, and obviously they're not going to be that good, but watching him and Sadiq Bey, Jeremy Grant, hopefully Killian starts to get it figured out, or he might be getting traded. And yeah, I mean, I just like the core. Also gonna say, I think Saban Lee, if Killian continues to struggle how he does, Saban Lee is averaging like 40 a game right now in the G League. So
right.
I don't know. I mean, Killian's got scoring's not everything. Definitely understand that, but Killian's got games. He's not even like taking shots, not getting any buckets, and he's not really even putting any pressure on the defense. So I think nice core build around though. Cade, Stewart, Grant, and Bey. I mean that. Hopefully we can keep all them guys around for the next like 3 to 5 to 7 years.
No, I see the vision of what they're doing, and I to be honest, I think Killian Hayes is no longer part of that vision. I think they're probably looking for a way to get out. I know we talked about this many times leading up, into the draft, leading up post draft that, heading into the season, we kind of had like 2 top 5 picks on the
Yeah,
team. Killian Hayes played, like 20 games his first year. So, but I would say you can see the difference in some of these first small sample size of games compared to what Cade is showing us compared to what he is showing us. And, it's night and day. So
yeah,
that is it, it kind of is what it is. And I would say we can go from with what we have. And that's a great young core anyway. And now you can kind of build around him anyway. Maybe Killian Hayes wasn't the greatest point guard for Cade. Maybe now you got to go get somebody that, more, like you said, more shooting dominant. If Cade's going to have a ball in his hand, maybe you got to go get a point guard that's not scared or can, hold his own as far as shooting.
I think
So,
Saban,
yeah, yep.
he's definitely aggressive. He's more score first
Mm-hmm.
point guard than anything. You let Cade play off the ball, be more of the facilitator, and let Saban, kind of just,
Right.
kind of be more aggressive. So I think that dynamic works probably a lot more where you got 2 guys now where it's like Cade can do everything, and Killian is just kind of like he needs to have the ball to be effective because he's not that great of a scorer.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's conflicting right now.
No, for sure. So, I think overall, and I think we said this both before we know we made the right decision in getting Cade. I think he fits the Detroit blueprint. Like you said, he stayed quiet, and after he got that dunk, he went scoreless. Cade stepped up and locked up. Team stepped up, and kind of made a statement. And they went out and won. We
Yep.
only got 2 wins on the year. That was kind of obviously neither one of us are probably in a race to win that many games, but I would say that's something that they obviously both wanted to get the win. And so ultimately, Cade had a better game and got the dub. And so, lots of bright spots. I think he's showing a complete game. He's putting. I just kind of see you've seen players like this turn into complete superstars. Whether it I don't want to say whether it's players that haven't completely flourished yet, like a Jason Tatum or somebody like that you've seen when they have moves like this and can handle the basketball and can shoot this well. It's a matter of time before they're putting up 20, 25 a game. And so, I think we have one of them type of guys. And so,
Yeah.
It's just finally good to be able to say that.
Yeah, all-star caliber. I mean, I feel like, the ceiling for that team as a whole is pretty it's pretty the future's pretty bright. I guess what would you say, is what would be kind of like some of the final pieces that you think they need to kind of be like competitive? I mean, I feel like, they got a couple of like, you got a solid 2, Sadiq, Cade can play the 2. You got Isaiah Stewart. I mean, he's still pretty raw as far as talent wise, or as far as just like skill. I mean, he doesn't really do anything really like rebound and block, which is cool. I mean, that's like basically what Ben Wallace did, for Detroit back in the day. Where are the holes that you think like what would you want them to target in free agency next year?
Yeah. As far as free agency in particular, I would say just go get not. I don't want them to blow the bank. Don't bust the piggy bank open. I would say just go get players that are solid,
Role
solid,
players.
solid role players that exactly what you're going to get that you're not going to have to bust the bank for. And I know that's kind of a generic answer, but I would say, and then in the draft is where I would try to target, best available player. I don't think we should say we have to get a point guard because that's the way it is. I would say, if we mess around and get the 3rd pick and the best 3rd pick overall is a 2-3 again, I think we should get the 2 and 3 again. I think that's kind of how I think we're, that could be the blueprint to win. And I would say, but as far as I don't know any players in particular, but I would say maybe try to shore up, get a stretch 4 if you're going to have Isaiah Stewart, be more of the
Center.
enforcer, enforcer center. Maybe try to go get somebody that could score a little bit, shoot the ball. I think we're going to have to surround Cade with shooters.
Yeah.
So I think that's going to be ultimately something that would be successful for him is to try to keep everybody out of the paint, just like they do with LeBron, just like they do with Tatum or KD or whoever's in that type of ilk. where if you surround them with shooters, it's damn near impossible to defend.
Yeah, 'cause I definitely got my eye on like Marvin Bagley. Um,
100%.
Somebody that because I feel like if they were to get somebody like him, now they got to be careful who they give up. You know what I'm saying? As far as like if they do even target him at all, because I feel like somebody like that. He's a solid player. He's young. He would if they were to kind of plug him in, then like Grant could play the three or the four or the three. Sadiq could play the two, Cade could play the one, and then Stewart could be at the five. I think that's something like that would be ideal. I've always, and this is kind of like naming random players that I thought, and as you watch games here and there, I've always been like a big like Marcus Smart fan. If they're to get somebody, like that, I think he just signed a decent deal pretty big deal with Boston, but maybe somebody that comes to mind that would kind of like fit that mold a little bit better. It's more kind of like the players I kind of want to be there. I don't want them spending money on like I don't want them giving like I don't know, like a Harrison Barnes like 100K or something or 100 million or something like that. You know what I'm saying? I think I just want them to kind of have like those like puzzle pieces that they just do a couple of things very well and they defend.
Yeah.
And I think if they can just kind of have more of that veteran presence in the locker room, because right now I think they got like 10 to 12 guys under 25. And then, out of a roster of 15. So hopefully they can get a little more veteran presence in there. I don't love Olynyk, but he's, he does okay. He's, an older guy that, stretch four. He plays pretty well. But yeah, we'll have to see in due time. I feel like this year I'll probably get 25, 30 wins, be right around.
We have so much money to play with in the offseason. I just don't want to. I think the best thing to do is wait until Cade develops enough to be able to, and maybe in 3 years, then go throw the 100 million at somebody that maybe only does deserve 80 or whatever. Go throw 120 at somebody that maybe only does deserve 100. But then you're doing it when it really matters. But I just look at NBA free agents, and now obviously some of these are player options, but you got John Wall, Bradley Beal. Obviously, both of those would probably be pretty big money, but Gary Harris, Zach LaVine, Patrick Beverly, your boy.
I wouldn't mind Gary Harris. I like that. That'd be a nice fit, I think.
Yeah, Montrezl Harrell.
Yeah,
you could do something on here. Jeremy Graham, Joe Ingles.
Yeah, I think they just need some old cats in there to be able to show them how the NBA works. Like right now, these guys are just like just came off playing 30 games in college. You know what I'm saying? It's like it's tough.
Yeah, I think we got about 6, 7, 8 players under the age 25.
Yeah. And it's. I really think Sadiq Bey gonna be something serious. Like I think he's gonna be like a monster. Yeah, like he can shoot. He's big. You know what I'm saying? Like big body. I think they got to just like I said. I just want them to be careful because I know they talk about Marvin Bagley. There might be somebody that might be interested in, but it's like don't give up. I feel like Cade, Bey, Stewart. Those are at least my guys. I even feel like Jeremy Grant in a sense is dispensable for the right price, right people.
I agree.
But like those three is the three that you got to really, really hold on to and make sure that's the core essentially. There's a couple guys on the bench like Josh Jackson. I think that's somebody that you want to definitely keep around as well. He ain't gonna do him to get better. Definitely like how he got that, giving him a second chance too. He didn't really do that well in Phoenix. But yeah, I think there's at least 3 to 4 guys. It's like, all right, like we just gotta build around them and just make smart decisions on who we're bringing in here, and who we're letting go for who we're bringing in here.
For sure. No, we headed in the right direction. I like it. I do. I think Dwayne Casey running a good show. Like you said, I agree with everything. We're doing good.
Yeah.
Exciting to see.
Right. Yeah. The other thing we wanted to cover was go to the NFL for a second, and we obviously talked about Stafford, and how we just are really rooting for him, hoping he does find a way to get a ring this year. LA is definitely doing everything in their power to make that possible, but it's kind of crazy that I think they lost like 2 out of the last 3.
Yep.
He's thrown like 4 or 5 picks out of the last 3 games. A couple of them were pick sixes. Obviously they're not always his fault, but it is kind of odd to start to see him cool down a little bit. From what I've seen as to why I think they're starting to struggle a little bit is they're trying to become really finesse. I feel like when they start off the season, they're doing play action,
Yep.
running the
Yep.
football. Now it's just like all of a sudden they just want to. And I always talk about this, how like NFL coaches and teams, they just want to like abandon the run completely
And get
and just try to like throw the football all over the place. I mean, you're putting your offense in a bad spot when you're playing a solid defense. Their O-line isn't the great, isn't the best at pass blocking. I mean, they've been exposed pretty badly the last couple of weeks on that side of things. But yeah, like what are your thoughts? What do you think? I mean, obviously, we grew up watching Stafford, and people that don't know what he's doing, haven't watched him how we have. They're probably thinking like, oh, same old line Stafford. I just think it's a couple bumps in the road. They'll get it figured out. But what do you think?
I definitely don't think it's time to hit the panic button. I think, I think it could be a couple things. I think when they came in, we're sitting at midway through the season. So I think they've had a pretty good sample size to see how exactly they're going to run this offense. And maybe, like you said, they're trying to so the defense is starting to figure out exactly how he's going to maneuver in this offense. So maybe it's starting to catch up to him a little bit, and then they just need to make the next move in the next fold within their offense, kind of hit second gear themselves. I think I'm not going to blame it on, bringing in Odell. I think that's only going to help, and maybe, and just bring him in. And you just had a big injury at the receiving room anyway. So, that didn't help any situation, at least for this last game. So, I think getting that injury and kind of the lulls of the middle of the season. I think you'd rather get a couple of these horrible games out of the way now than later on. And so, I think they got the Packers coming up this week, and if you can put that together, he's familiar with the Packers.
Yeah.
Put that win together and be right back on track. But I do think you don't want to throw too many of these games, but ultimately, I still think they'll be all right. But he does have to, you don't want to get too comfortable. You want to keep that sharp edge.
Dial it back in. I think bye week comes at perfect timing. I think that'll work out. They got like a week, 2 weeks to kind of figure out what they need to do. And yeah, like you said, he plays the Packers quite a bit. Very familiar, with that team. And they also said too, like one thing they kind of brought up, I just kind of heard is, like in the sports media world, is like Brady and Stafford kind of had similar stats, similar team record with their first time with the team. Obviously, that's Brady. We know he's the greatest of all time, and we know how he operates. But sometimes that bye week does numbers, like does wonders for the team as a whole. I mean, Stafford sometimes be able to sit in the film room and kind of understand what's going on, and kind of be able to plug in things that are kind of able to help him be more successful. And I think they'll definitely. I still feel like they're kind of up there as like obviously NFC, one of the ones to beat, potential Super Bowl favorite.
Sure, and in losing Robert Woods, I just think
it's huge.
Yeah, it's huge. Obviously he's a good receiver, but he also lined him up in the backfield. He's in the slot. He's on the move. I think so. I think
blocking.
Yeah, yep, blocking. So I think that takes a lot. You're not going to put one guy in there that now you can run a slant. It's much more than just a plug and chug random second or third receiver. They got him doing a lot of random shit. So
yeah,
I think that's gonna be tough to try to figure out
how they're gonna use
that. Where else you can make that up at, or who else you can put in to do something similar, and maybe that is OBJ, and maybe I don't think he's gonna start blocking like that, but he definitely come out the backfield, and make it interesting as well. So I think they'll be all right.
Yeah, and that's one of the things too. Like I said, some of them picks like not really being Stafford's fault. And sometimes a couple of them were pretty bad, but even when he threw, like, you try to throw it to OBJ stopped running. They just kind of like miscommunication on like the route, if he's going to throw it to him, not throw it to him. I think he only played like 15, 20 plays. They connected pretty well on a couple of plays. I mean, that's, it's kind of good to see that chemistry kind of like forming in like real game time. He's going to have 2 weeks, to learn the playbook and get in there. And like you said, we just know OBJ to just be that, that star receiver, but he's definitely – it'll be interesting to see kind of how he starts to mold more into that role, replacing Robert Woods and, helping them reestablish the run game, which I think they need to do more than anything, just kind of like help themselves. But, yeah, I do feel like, it'll be I'll be interested to see how Stafford bounces back when they play Green Bay in a couple weeks.
Yeah, no, I agree. I just was pulling up his stats. He's still sitting at just over 3,000 passing yards, which is first in the NFL.
It's crazy.
24 touchdowns, which is third in the NFL, and he got 8 picks.
Yeah.
So, still very solid year. So,
yeah.
But
he'll probably throw about 40, 45 touchdowns.
Yeah.
This year out.
Anywhere south of like 12 would be all right. So,
right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So.
Yeah, sure.
But yeah, pretty much that's all we had for today. Just wanted to kind of chat about some Michigan sports, some local stuff going on. Still considered, that's 9. He always going to be.
Yeah, no, he's Michigan.
When it comes to Michigan sports, he's always going to be a Lion first and foremost. So
yeah, we're honorary Rams fans.
yeah, for sure. I mean, they win it all. I mean, we won it all. Like I saw.
They still had 2.
Oh yeah.
No.
Yeah, without a doubt. So,
yeah, no, I agree, 100%.
Yeah. That's all we had. We'll be back next week, and then also looking to have a couple guests come on the show in the near future. We'll definitely keep you all updated on, some of the stuff we got coming up soon. Excited to bring it to you all.
Yes, sir.
So that being said, have a good one.